Something strange is brewing behind the scenes in Pittsburgh, and it involves a name no one expected to be connected to the team, and another that fans are getting tired of waiting on. And trust me, what's going on backstage is way more intense than it seems. On one side, a quiet move that almost changed the entire quarterback room. On the other, a multi-hour meeting with one of the greatest football minds ever that got the staff excited, but also raised a few eyebrows. Big names are involved, bold decisions are being made, and yes, one player even turned down a better offer just to choose his own destination. If you're a Steelers fan, you don't want to miss a single detail of this wild sequence. Hit that like button and let's break it all down. The Pittsburgh Steelers almost pulled the trigger on a move for quarterback Joe Milton, but the Dallas Cowboys swooped in and sealed the deal with the Patriots instead. It was a low-key trade, a late-round pick for the second-year QB, but it sounds like there was some real action behind the scenes before it happened. One of the teams kicking the tires on Milton? Yep, the Steelers. According to Fox Sports' Jordan Schultz, Pittsburgh was in the mix alongside the Raiders, Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys when Milton hit the trade block earlier this offseason. The Steelers clearly had interest, but either they didn't put enough on the table or Milton had his eyes set on a different landing spot. Here's the kicker. Schultz says the Patriots actually had a better offer than what they got from Dallas, but out of respect for Milton, they let him go where he wanted, and that was Texas. So it wasn't about the deal, it was about giving the guy a shot with a team he felt good about. Gotta give New England some props for that. As for Pittsburgh, they're still hanging around in quarterback purgatory, waiting on an answer from Aaron Rodgers. Mason Rudolph is currently holding down the number 2 spot, but GM Omar Khan made it crystal clear at the league meetings they're keeping all options open for a veteran QB if Rodgers doesn't come through. Sounds like Milton was one of those options, and now that door's closed. Maybe he didn't want to be a Steeler, or maybe Dallas just made the more attractive pitch. Either way, don't expect Pittsburgh to stay quiet. They're not done hunting at the QB position until Rodgers is locked in. Until then, they're one of the teams to keep your eye on. But hey, would you have pulled the trigger on that move Pittsburgh almost made? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because up next is an even more intriguing situation. The team's offense might already be set, but the guy meant to run it is still dragging his feet. Things are heating up in Pittsburgh, and while owner Art Rooney too sounds pretty damn sure that Aaron Rodgers will be wearing black and gold soon, not everyone's totally sold on how that marriage between Rodgers and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith is gonna play out. Who's really going to run the show once September hits the OC or the future Hall of Famer under center? Steelers insider Mark Kaboly, who you've probably seen chopping it up on the Pat McAfee show, dropped some thoughts on SiriusXM NFL radio recently. He believes Arthur Smith has the chops to tailor his offense to fit Rodgers, and honestly, he better. Kaboly kept it real. You don't bring in weapons like George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and Pat Freiermuth just to hand the ball off 35 times a game. That's just nonsense. Now, let's not gloss over this. Pickens isn't going anywhere, at least according to GM Omar Khan. And then boom, Pittsburgh drops a massive 5-year, $150 million extension on Metcalf after bringing him over from Seattle. That move alone tells you the Steelers are ready to throw the rock more and lean into a modern, aggressive offense. But here's the twist, they still don't have their quarterback. Rodgers is clearly the guy they're banking on. They let both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields walk in free agency, and the only QB chatter left involves a waiting game with A-Rod while he seemingly drags his feet, hoping the Vikings come calling. There was some drama with Smith and Wilson in Atlanta last season, apparently. Those two barely made it work, but Kaboly doesn't think we'll see that repeat with Rodgers. He pointed out that Arthur Smith knows exactly who he's dealing with. A 4-time MVP, a 41-year-old walking football brain, and a no-doubt Hall of Famer. You'd be wise to listen to a guy like that, Kaboly said. Not saying Rodgers gets total control, but Smith isn't foolish enough to ignore that kind of presence in the locker room. Rodgers even spent over 6 hours meeting with the Steelers last month, and word is Smith left that sit down fired up to get to work with him. But again, none of this matters until Rodgers quits window shopping in Minnesota and finally inks the deal in Pittsburgh. As a fan, here's the deal. Pittsburgh clearly doesn't want to sit still anymore, but it still feels like they're hesitant to commit. The move they almost made shows they're hunting for answers, but also that some players might not see the Steelers as the place to be, and that's a red flag, and about the possible new leader of our offense. If he's coming, he better be ready to take charge, but without stepping over the foundation already being built. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates, because the drama in Pittsburgh is just getting started.